Thursday edition of your favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria. Inside Nigeria is a program where we discuss and review front page headline stories on some select newspapers in Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ubebo. I'm your host for the segment. And of course, we always want to start off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership is leading with a story on subsidy removal. Let's see what Leadership is saying in its headline stories. Subsidy removal, be patient, palliatives will come. Tinubu tells Nigerians. Subsidy removal, be patient, palliatives will come. Tinubu tells Nigerians. Seek reps approval for 500 billion naira intervention. Amendment to 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act. Subsidy removal, be patient, palliatives will come. Tinubu tells Nigerians. Seek sex reps approval for 500 billion naira intervention. Amendment to 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act. That's the leading story on leadership. We have other stories too. Honeywell Group assures value proposition for FBN holding stakeholders. Honeywell Group assures value proposition for FBN holding stakeholders. APC didn't fund president's campaign, Vice Chairman alleges. Didn't fund president's campaign, Vice Chairman alleges. Stories on page 7 of Leadership. Jihadis from Niger, Mali, Libya imposing tax on Sokoto farmers. Newly commissioned second Niger bridge vandalized. Army chief rules out amnesty for bandits, terrorists. Of course, from the cover of Leadership, we move over to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. It is the editorial of Leadership. AU, that is African Union, can impart on the Russia-Ukraine war. AU can impart on the Russia-Ukraine war. From editorial page, we move over to the back page. Being blunt with Muazu Eliza. He is the group managing director of Leadership Newspaper Group. Surika, where is Nigeria Air? What a question. For more stories on that and for more read on that column, just log on to the website www.leadership.ng. And of course, we have Ghana Must Go. Just before we go, Colonel Umar to Tinubu, shut your door against lobbyists. That is the news. And he said, and Ghana Must Go replied, they will use the window. As if the doors are shut, they will use the window. Funny one there. So for more stories on leadership, log on to the website www.leadership.ng. Don't forget, Le Vogue, Leadership Le Vogue is an all glossy colored news fashion lifestyle magazine. Will be out this Sunday, 16 July 2023. Don't miss it. You just get a copy of Leadership Sunday for Le Vogue. From Leadership, we move over to The Nation. The Nation also has similar story on its cover today, Thursday, July 13, 2023. And it reads, Tinubu remedy for subsidy withdrawal hardship soon. Tinubu remedy for subsidy withdrawal hardship soon. President asks lawmakers to approve 500 billion naira palliatives cash. And just like Leadership, they also have the same similar story on their cover. We have the 99 class of governors who were in a meeting with President Bola Tinubu yesterday. Of course, we have Chief of Staff and Chief of Staff and the SGF flanked by these 99 class of governors. We have other stories on The Nation. Investors' confidence now boosted, says Nigerian Stock Exchange. Listed companies to get fiscal incentives. Federal government states to partner on electricity. Only 53% of electricity capacity utilized, says Commission. Rep slam BEDC for blackout in Ondo South councils. Rep slam BEDC for blackout in Ondo South councils. Our next move against Russia by G7. No amnesty for bandits, says Chief of Army Staff. From that, we move over to just ahead of the leading stories. We have t-shirt, jeans wearing lawmaker sent out from House of Reps chamber. T-shirt, jeans wearing lawmaker sent out from House of Reps chamber. The story is on page 28 of the Nation. What an interesting read. Above the masthead of the Nation, we have "Don't be scared of witch hunt." Elia tells Autumn, that is the Benue State Governor, Father Elia, don't be scared of witch hunt. Elia tells Autumn. CBN directs payment of dollar receipts in naira. Vandals remove fittings on second Niger bridge. Nigeria fully redeems $500 million euro bond. Before we leave the Nation, we have to see what their editorials are saying today. And of course, the Nation always comes out with two editorials daily. And it says NUC curriculum. The 70% control over the academic programs will stifle higher education. The 70% control over the academic programs will stifle higher education. If 30% is all the locals have, how could they pursue the idea of institutional flexibility and specialization? That's the question on the editorial NUC curriculum. We also see the other editorial uh, beneath it, worthy collaboration. We work we welcome NDLEA's partnership with UK's crime agency to fight drug cartels. We welcome NDLEA's partnership with UK's crime agency to fight drug cartels. The NDLEA is also in partnership with Interpol and the UK Border Force, and we believe they can gain experience and technical know-how from those more experienced organizations. For more on that editorial, just log on to the website of the Nation newspaper, www.thenationonlineng.net. From that same similar story, we will go over to the Punch. The Punch has similar stories on fuel subsidy. The Punch says NLC protests Tinubu's 500 billion naira subsidy palliative, demands 300% pay rise. The Punch. NLC protests Tinubu's 500 billion naira subsidy palliative, demands 300% pay rise. Rep sit on 500 billion naira subsidy relief request today. Federal government labor for fresh negotiations. 500 billion naira not enough for 125 million poor Nigerians affected by deregulation. NLC TUC. We have the pictures of the Vice President Kashim Shettima presenting what looked like an award to the education activist Malala, who has been in Nigeria since Monday now to celebrate her birthday, as she says. And above that, no, beneath the story, we have Malala telling federal government no Nigerian child should lack education. No Nigerian child should lack education. She moved over from Borno State, where she was on Tuesday, to Abuja yesterday. INEC prosecutor fumes as Adamawa Rex arraignment face. INEC prosecutor fumes as Adamawa Rex arraignment fails. Abuja orphan shot by vigilantes undergoes surgery. After Obasanjo's revelation, Atiku can't label me corrupt. Autumn. After Obasanjo's revelation, Atiku can't label me corrupt. Autumn. That is on the Punch newspaper. And just before we go, we move over to the stories above the masthead of the Punch. But Obi kicks as Tinubu offers opposition governor slots. But Obi kicks as Tinubu offers opposition governor slots. Nigeria redeems $500 million bond despite revenue challenges. Army chief orders IPOB raid, rubbishes amnesty for bandits. Just like we did with other previous papers, we have to see what the editorial Punch is saying today in his editorial. It is on crush bandits, don't grant them amnesty. That is editorial on the Punch. Is unequivocal. It says crush bandits, don't grant them amnesty. That is the editorial on the Punch newspaper. For more stories on the Punch, just log on to the website www.punchng.com. From the Punch newspaper, we move over to the Vanguard. The Vanguard says, okay, we are still on Blueprint newspaper. Sorry, because Blueprint also has similar story with leadership, with the nation, and the Punch newspaper, and now Blueprint. Blueprint says fuel subsidy remover. Tinubu hints on cash transfer approach for 500 billion naira palliatives. Fuel subsidy remover. Tinubu hints on cash transfer approach for 500 billion naira palliatives. I understand Nigerians are suffering, but no childbirth without pain. Bretton Woods, foreigners won't solve our problems for us. Forwards 500 billion naira request to reps, Miss class of 1999 governors. And just above that headline story, we have Umahi has 7-man Senate panel on 500 billion naira DBN loan probe. Ladoja sues Olubadan, Makinde 11 others over Obaship tussle. Beneath that, we have the picture of Malala in audience yesterday. We have 13.5 billion naira debt. Disregard EcoBank's request. Otudeco urges FBNH. 13.5 billion naira debt. Disregard EcoBank's request. Otudeco urges FBNH. I wept upon discovering Senator used my results for ABU admission. I wept upon discovering Senator used my results for ABU admission, college students. Nigeria redeems $500 million debt service obligation. Give us free hands to wipe out terrorists. Chief of Army Staff Lagbaja tells governors. Give us free hands to wipe out terrorists. COAS Lagbaja tells governors. CDS assures Defense Headquarters readiness to tackle insecurity in Zamfara, Plateau, others. We move over to the editorial on Blueprint newspaper today, Thursday, July 13, 2023. And it says EU should support Nigeria. EU should support Nigeria. That's the editorial on Blueprint. You log on to the website www.blueprint.ng. From that, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY also has similar story on the oil and gas sector. THISDAY is leading with the story Komolafe. There is now regulatory certainty in oil gas sector. Komolafe, there is now regulatory certainty in oil gas sector. That is the leading story on THISDAY, Thursday. Says oil risk count on the rise, now 25. Says oil risk count on the rise, now 25. Reveals $880 million, 40% of $2.2 billion lost to crude oil metering errors in 2022. NNPC, Nigeria expecting $20 billion FDIs, that is foreign direct investment, in upstream oil gas sector by 2024. Country redeems $500 million Eurobond obligation to international creditors. IOCs demand fiscal incentives enabling business environment. We have the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu receiving the acting EFCC chairman yesterday, Mr. Abdulkarim Chuko, at the presidential villa, Abuja. Above that, we have military plans offensive against terrorists, bandits in Zamfara, Plateau, Kaduna, Benue. Alleged 13.5 billion naira debt. You lied. There was no Supreme Court judgment in your favor. Honeywell Group replies EcoBank. Alleged 13.5 billion naira debt. You lied. There was no Supreme Court judgment in your favor. Honeywell Group replies EcoBank. Tinubu defense subsidy remover seeks 500 billion naira approval from House of Reps for palliatives. Says policy to benefit majority of Nigerians. declares he's aware people going through hard times. That's the leading stories on this day. We move over to the editorial for today on this day newspaper. And this day newspaper's editorial is on of courts and street violence. Of courts and street violence. Security agencies must do more to curb the menace. In many states of the Federation, courts of various tribes act with impunity, killing, raping, and maiming victims while causing widespread destruction. Yet the authorities seemed helpless. For more on this editorial today of courts and street violence, inside stories and headline stories on this day, log on to the website www.thisdaylive.com. From that, we move over to Daily Sun. Daily Sun is next on our menu, and Daily Sun says, Army to governors, give us free hands to deal with terrorists. Army to governors, give us free hands to deal with terrorists. Rejects call for amnesty for bandits. Army to governors, give us free hands to deal with terrorists. Rejects call for amnesty for bandits. Energy security, federal government to attract $18 billion investments into petroleum sector. Six call 1 mark each as NECO releases 2023 common entrance exam results. Navy uncovers sabotage NNPC wellhead in Rivers as refs probe Nimasa crude oil theft. Kogi court affirms Ododo's victory, dismisses Adeyemi's case. Disquiet in APC over 30 billion naira campaign funds. Fuel subsidy removal, Tinubu writes NACS seeks 500 billion naira for palliatives. Rivers, Julius Berger signed 195.3 billion naira contract for Ring Road project. These are the leading stories on the cover of Daily Sun. We move over to the editorial page of the paper to see what the editorial is on today, Thursday, July 13, 2023, and is on the open defecation challenge. The open defecation challenge. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has disclosed that Nigeria will build about 3.9 million toilets annually to meet the 2025 national and 2030 global targets for ending open defecation. The agency's chief of water, sanitation and hygiene, WASH, Dr. Jane Babes, stated this recently at a two-day maiden toilet business owners conference in Abuja. Currently, Nigeria builds between 180,000 to 200,000 toilets annually. Unfortunately, this figure is grossly inadequate in a country with over 200 million people. For more on that editorial, you have to log on to the website of The Nation, www.sunnynewsonline.com. From Daily Sun, we move over to the next paper with similar headline, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says jihadists from Niger, Mali, Libya, taxing Nigerian farmers. Jihadists from Niger, Mali, Libya, taxing Nigerian farmers. Rep. As jihadists work with local bandits to make life unbearable for farmers. As reps ask military to deploy more personnel, equipment to comb forest. Troops clear Mangu ambush, neutralize 3 bandits, recover weapons. It's unacceptable for bandits from outside Nigeria to tax farmers. That is Middle Belt Forum. Arrest, repatriate the bandits to their countries. Can. CDS expresses concern over delay in trial of terror suspects. The stories are on the pages of 9 of Vanguard newspaper. Sit at home, Southeast governors vow to deal with Simon Ekpa orders. Sit at home, Southeast governors vow to deal with Simon Ekpa orders. APC National Working Committee crisis deepens. How Adamu stabbed Tinubu APC candidates of funds during polls. Lukma, National Vice Chair. Why Atiku is angry with me, G5 members, autumn. Why Atiku is angry with me, G5 members, autumn. How summons NFF over Falcons unpaid bonuses, planned strike. We move over to the above the masthead for more stories. Lightning kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara. Lightning kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara. Subsidy removal, palliatives to relieve Nigerians underway, Tinubu. Subsidy removal, palliatives to relieve Nigerians underway, Tinubu. 6 reps approval for 500 billion naira. Nollywood actress Cynthia Okereke dies 1 year after kidnap. CBN directs banks to pay diaspora remittances to beneficiaries in naira. Wow. From the headline stories, we move over to the editorial, which is actually the commentary of Vanguard. Let's see what the commentary or editorial is on today. And he says agenda for Tinubu as ECOWAS chair. Agenda for Tinubu as ECOWAS chair. This is a comment by Vanguard newspaper today, Thursday, July 13, 2023. For more on that, log on to the website www.vanguardngr.com. From that, we move over to the last paper we have on our menu, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian is leading with the story. It's an exclusive story by The Guardian. Inflation and higher education. Tough times for students, parents as schools hike fees by 200%. Inflation and higher education. Tough times for students, parents as schools hike fees by 200%. Stories on page 6 of The Guardian is an exclusive one. Average tuition in federal universities from 20,000 to 80,000 to 100,000. Average tuition in state universities from 30,000 to between 150 to 200,000. Average sundry fees, that is the inflation rate as it were before. These were the prices before, and now with inflation rate of 22.4%, we have average sundry fees from 1,500 to 20,000 depending on programs. Average accommodation fees from 20,000 to 60,000. Average fee for medical students from 150,000 to between 200,000 to 250,000, depending on programs. And then we have other stories. Amid $1 billion legacy debt, Nigeria pushes for $12 billion revenue, 10 gas FIDs. Tinubu writes reps for 500 billion to caution subsidy removal impacts. Ladoja takes Makinde, Olubadan, 10 others to court over Ibadan chieftaincy law review. Vanda steals second Niger bridge fittings. Above the masthead of The Guardian, we have Honeywell Group confident of FBN Holdings investment value generation. From that, we move over to the editorial of The Guardian. Today's Guardian's editorial is on JAMB and forgery of matriculation exam results. JAMB and forgery of matriculation exam result. For more on that, you just have to log on to the website of The Guardian, which is www.guardian.ng. Well, viewers, this is where we end today's first segment of the program Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television today. And don't go away. We have the second segment of the program coming up. And of course, I have my Thursday guest already waiting in the studio. I'm Winnie Fred, but don't go away. Just stay tuned. See you.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back. You're just joining us. The program is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo once again, and of course, I have a guest in the studio in this second part of the program to discuss some headline stories today. And it's because he's my Thursday guest. He is a political scientist, a public affairs analyst, Olamilekan Adefolarin. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
How's your week been?
Very great.
Very great. Thank you so much. Now, there are two main stories making the headline today in the papers we read, and that is the issue of fuel subsidy and this issue on insecurity that has taken over some states like Plateau, Sokoto, Benue, and Zamfara. So we are going to first discuss this subsidy palliative. Like we're told that President Tinubu has written to the National Assembly to approve 500 billion naira subsidy palliative. How far will this go? Because another paper says that Tinubu hints on cash transfer approach for 500 billion palliatives. And of course, we all know how this cash transfer will end. Of course, it will end in the pockets of some politicians. Because the other time when this Abacha loot was gotten, and they said they were going to share for those that that were poor, we also saw situations whereby we will get calls from those close to us, friends, and that, oh, you can fill in your account details. But mind you, 100,000 will be sent, and you are expected to return maybe half of the money, even far more than the money to us. You just keep the 20,000 or 10,000 as the case may be. So how will this subsidy palliative go to ameliorate the sufferings and hardship of Nigerians?
I think we will need to acknowledge that, okay, the presidents have done well by seeking for funds within, because the seeking for this particular fund comes from the 2022 budget, which was quite interesting for us to know that, okay, there is still money in the 2022 budget that even the 2023 has also made available. But going to the 2022 budget shows that our issues around implementation of our budget still have challenges. But let's leave that aside. Let's concentrate on the main bulk of what he's trying to do with the money. 500 billion naira is not enough, but we are talking about transparent and accountability of this particular money. And the particular challenge that most of us will have is that doing cash transfer will not be the best option in spending this money. Because in the past, since 1999, the government of Nigeria has always engaged in cash transfer, and we have never seen that particular money getting down to the real people they mark out for that money. So for the Tinubu government, I'm not expecting them to use that same formula of the previous government saying that we're going to give Nigerian cash. It is not the cash that we need. We want them to put concrete things in place so that the cushioning of the subsidy removal can be more systematic, not the way they want to go about it by saying they want to be giving people money. By the ending of the day, this money will be hijacked by certain individuals, either people in the political appointees, either civil servants, or people who are working around the government will hijack this money, and Nigerians will not even see enough of it. And by the way, the ones that was done by previous government, we see the numbers of people that end up getting cash transfer. Out of 200 million people, only 2 million of them were registered on the data of the government that was receiving 5,000 or 10,000 at the end of the day. So we don't want such instrument to be put across, because for me, if you are using cash transfer, it's more like a cosmetic policy to address a very deficit challenge that we have in the economy.
However, there's something that somebody pointed out that we are not actually clear about, because the president did tell us that 400 billion naira has been saved for fuel subsidy, and now here the president is asking for 500 billion naira for palliative.
Very.
It's not
exactly
clear.
It's not clear in the sense that NNPC have not come clean on how they are managing the Nigerian oil and gas and what is coming.
What is coming, and what has been saved, because they told us that 400 billion naira has been saved by this since May 2019 now fuel subsidy, and now here is the president asking for 500 billion naira loan for palliative.
I think it's not loan per se.
It's not loan per se.
It's 2022 budget.
Okay.
Money that was budgeted for 2022 that they just want to use the instrumentality of the fiscal policy in the law to extract that money.
Okay.
But the one of the 400 billion that have been saved is still with NNPC, because NNPC is supposed to give us details. I think there is issue when they went to the fake meeting about it, and then they fake accused them that they have not remitted anything to them. So the 400 billion they have saved in the month of May for subsidy is still with them. But you know what NNPC will tell you? We are still under recovery. We are owing some people money, and those are the people who will use that money to settle. And that has been, many Nigerians don't even understand how NNPC operates.
Exactly, it's so opaque. The activities of NNPC has become so opaque, and with this few subsidy removal, the PIA has in effect come into law, into play. So, and what is expected with this PIA is to have transparency in the oil and gas sector. Yet we are not having that
and that's how many people are even calling that the head of NMC, GMD should be removed, and all his executive board that we need fresh air in that organization. But you know, one thing is that I've understood when I take a study of NNPC, that it's not a company that if the government do anything now, it will be subject to law. They can sue the federal government, just like what they did when the chairman of the board of NNPC, went to court, and the court asked them to pay over 100 billion naira. So I think the government is a little bit careful.
The government appealed before.
They appealed, but at the end of the day, they will still pay. For now, I think it's going to be settled politically, and that's why you don't hear about the case again. So I think the government of the day is trying to avoid anything that will bring litigation against it. And you know the kind of money that government is owing in terms of judgment debt by previous government. So I want to believe that they will just use understanding that will ensure that we want transparency. Even though military may be there for the next 3, 4, 5 months, but it should show transparency. All the debt that NNPC is owing to the point that they cannot give anything to the federal allocation account, they should clear it and we'll have a clean slate. Because what they are even saying now is that will the NNPC become a company, they don't have any right to be bringing money to the federal allocation. That's what they have been saying. If we check the recent report,
the money they make, what will not happen? If you as a company or a limited company, or even if it's run as a company, you are supposed to make profits at the end of the day with shareholders having their own.
They don't have shareholders right now.
Now, that brings me to, because of the opaque nature of NNPC, because it has not been operating in a transparent manner. 2 years, just immediately after the PIA or the PIB was signed into law, NNPC came out to say that they have made profits. That is the Minister of Petroleum, President Muhammadu Buhari. Right. And at the end, it was discovered that it was all a hoax.
Yeah, very well. Very, in the sense that it was us, in the sense that NNPC was not too clean in telling the public what they have been making so far and what has been the demerrang they have been incurring in terms of carrying out business. All their JVA partnership, all their transactions with other companies, including the sales of crude oil and the export of crude oil. Nobody knows much about it. But we just hope that the Tinubu government can dig deep into the NNPC and unravel some of the things that are not clear in it. Just like what they have done for the CBN now, that everybody is not seeing that the CBN is not trying to bring out a monetary policy that will be more strategic and more impactful to the economy. I think the same thing should be done for the NNPC. Although we have someone that is the essay to the president on energy, I think we also need someone that will be more, focusing more on the NNPC, so that we can have a leeway in terms of what the NNPC is doing, what they are making in terms of profit, and how they are doing their business. Because any moment from now, they will go to the stock market, stock exchange.
Yeah, they want to go to the stock.
They want to go to the stock exchange. So
by the time they want to go public.
By the time they go into that, it will be more, too more difficult for government to unravel what is happening there. So we just expect that the government will.
You mean it will be more?
It will be more by the time they begin to ask Nigerians to come and buy shares. It will become a challenge. By that time, Nigerians are bought shares, and they want to begin to carry out probe into NNPC. The shareholders will not agree because they are expecting dividends at the end of the year, at the end of the year business. That's what will happen. So it's better the government do it right now before they start going to the public to sell their shares.
So what are we, if the PIA, the much expected PIA, is not giving us what it promises? Because before PIA, people said, PIA will be the best thing that could ever happen to the oil and gas sector. And we finally had the PIA just about 2 years, more than 2 years ago. And now we are not having that. Why is this so? So is there any other way we can do that?
I think the mistake most of us did on the PIA was we concentrate on the host community having a share or whatever.
Yes.
The concentration was that.
Was
But we are
just,
not looking
yeah,
at the
so like
mechanism of the
the
operation of the
2%, the
yes, the
5%,
NNPC.
this one said 5%.
So that took away most people's attention to the
Attention.
point that we are not looking how will NNPC function. What will be the end product of NNPC bringing profit to the nation? It is now everybody is not okay. Now it's when this thing open like this. This is how it will go. This is
There
how
could
it
be
will go.
amendment to it.
Definitely, a review will be
There's a
done.
saying that there's no law that is perfect.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. I think before the end of this year, there will be a review. Even
should
people are
be a
already calling
review.
for a review, either for the host community 3% or for the entire NNPC ombudsman, because
Yes.
there was a conflict between NPDRC, that means the upstream and the
Yes.
downstream, to the point that federal government have to call them to a meeting and begin to streamline. That's why you see that
because their functions are overlapping.
I think they have been able to go back to the law and see how they can amend it, because like what the Komolafe, the head of NDPR, is talking about now, they now have their share of what their rules is all about. They have to work on the downstream. There is no business going to the upstream. You don't have any right to go and be looking at what is happening in the upstream, because the upstream is the exploration, where you concentrate in the distribution channels of end product of crude oil, not crude oil himself.
Okay.
The NDPR doesn't have power over crude oil himself, but it has power after the crude oil has been exploited and been disseminated into kerosene, diesel, PMS, gas. That is your work. Then the distribution of it down, that is their work. But they now trying to go into that overlapping work with the NPRD. That's when they have issue. But for me, I think the law needs to be reviewed. Thank God we have the opportunity for the 10th Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Reps to look into this law and streamline all the gaps and lapses that were found in that particular law.
All right, thank you so much. Because there's still so much mystery in that oil and gas sector, especially as related to NNPCL, as they put it. Anyway, from that we move over to other trending story, and that is on the issue of insecurity. What is happening during the twilight of we saw the spike in insecurity cases, during the twilight of President Buhari's administration, and it has not abated.
Exactly.
What are we going to do?
I think majorly on the issue of security is the fallout of what has really happened, not just Buhari administration, previous administrations in 1999, because even talk about security in Nigeria, it's not something that just happened yesterday, but we can see that the increase is as a result of the lapses on the part of the government, which concentrate more on foot soldiers. Now people are now talking about technology in the fight against terrorism and banditry in Nigeria. Like the case that happened in Jos currently, that people will come over the night. You will see that there is checkpoint within, but people will still go and attack people. And people are now saying that what is happening? Can't we use our we have satellite image that we can use to capture that? It just concentrate the satellite image within that environment for the next 2-3 days. You can picture people who are going out in the night to do one or two criminality or the other. So that's what people are calling for. But we just hope that, as the CEO, the Chief of Army Staff was saying, he said the governor should give them opportunity to do this thing by themselves. And it falls back to what we have been hearing in the past, that sometimes when security agencies arrest certain people, the government will intervene, political agreement will begin to set in, and when people are indicted of one infringement in terms of any security issue, the political big weight will begin to put their eyes on the matter. And the Chief of Army Staff was very correct, because he has been on the field for a very long time as a army personnel. So he must have understood what has really happened within that part. So we just want to hope that the governors at the subnational level and the politicians at the subnational level will understand the essence of this, what insecurity have caused to us. Not just the issue about maybe we sympathize with people who have lost their life, but the damages, the image that is giving us both at home and abroad is not worth saying anywhere.
But one thing that baffles people is the fact that we have, especially in Plateau, we have JTF coming some of these villages in these communities. What happens? Why are they? I see that they are not up to the task.
You know that they are not up to the task for the military, but the issue is that you would have heard the story by a military task force or a military station is stationed in a particular community, then you hear move away.
Oh yes.
When they move away, the moment they leave that scene,
there'll be an attack.
You
we heard so much about that.
So now wonder, how did this happen?
They just have a call that they move away, and even our correspondent was even saying that there were so many instances whereby maybe these foot soldiers, as we said, were going to attack these terrorists, and they'll have received a call that they should go back. They should not go.
They should not go because of one or two things. And that is why
that is complicity.
That is why the Chief of Army is saying that, please, governors, remove your hand, because they must have seen the essence whereby a diversionary cord, because there could be a target or a activity going on, so, and there will be a diversionary cord that no, don't go there, it is the other side, and they will just move away. At the end of the day, it will be that same place that we are going that things will happen. So we just hope that the governors and all political heavyweights in state will give the military the opportunity, and not just the military, including the DSS. And I've always been saying that
the military should also be seen to be fair and transparent, because there are also cases, especially even in far away southwest, where one was even arrested of one ethnic
cleansing or whatever,
and there was a call, and they took the guy away from. He was involved in whether kidnapping or so, and before they knew it was a call was received that they should release him.
We understand some peculiarity of some of these challenges. That's why we are calling that, when it comes to human rights abuse as a result of the operational activities in those areas that things happen. But that's why most people have been calling that these men should be trained, not just the way to handle the gun alone, to also have this technological understanding that they have civil military relationship they're supposed to exhibit when they're on the field, which is very, very important, very clear. But on the other hand, we also understand that sometimes the place they are going to secure will also be hostile to the military personnel as a result of, maybe because of that's why most times you see them going to operation that they remove their name tag. You get it? So that they will not identify, the host community will not identify with their name. Because once they identify with their name, the host community will feel not too comfortable with them. Like the one happening in Jos now. The head of the task force in Jos is from the north. I believe that the people in that community who are mostly Christian dominated will understand with you, because some of them feel that it's an ethnic religious thing. Some of them feel, but what most of us have been able to say is a criminal activity that is happening. Either in Benue, either in Plateau, it's all about criminal activity. Because if you check all the record of what is happening, it's about how to steal something from the people. Either it's about the land or properties that they will take away. So we should just see it as a criminal activity that the military, the security agents need to flush out. I was trying to mention the issue of the DSS. DSS have intelligence, systematic, superior technology they can use to help us to point this.
Why are they not using it? That is just the question.
It still boils down to how the state governors will perceive them when they come into his territory to come and operate. It depends on how the state government will perceive them. Because when the state government see them as a federal might, they want to oppress him, especially the ones that are coming from an opposition party. You may see it as opportunity, because it has happened in the past when federal government send its troop or its security agent to go and work in the state. After they are finished doing what they need to do, now they will go back. Because of other intrigues in politics in Nigeria, those security agents will still be used against the sitting government. This happened in Plateau State when emergency was declared. Although we understand why it happened during the Obasanjo area, when
doing Dariye's
time, we all know what happened. Not just that, including Fayose also. It also happened. So we must understand the dynamic around iron security, that it is political, it is economical, but we just need to deal with it.
There's also, we're talking about insecurity. We also see the rising one in Southeast.
Exactly.
It's like when they declare lockdown every Monday or whatever. Exactly. Now, the person that is calling the shot from Finland, Simon Ekpa, has already said they should prepare for a 2-week total lockdown. Now, there was a video that trended in Ebonyi, and we saw how these gunmen were shooting those who refused to comply with the order. Why are the security agencies allowing them?
I think one of the thought is more or less like, okay, some people believe in what EPA is declaring, and some people don't believe in what EPA is declaring.
But those that are forcing others, killing and maiming others to abide by what Simon, why is security not just rounding them up?
It still boils down to our security intelligence.
Because who are they? They are just few compared to us.
And the way they operate in a module that you can easily identify them. Most time they say they use Sienna bus, sometimes they use
Okada
rider. Yes, I saw some of the video. So, but the issue still boils down to security intelligence. How can you use technology to tame some of these things? Nothing stop a governor of a state to invest in satellite images that can overrun the state capital, or some part of the state that is always having issue. Bayelsa State under Seriki Dixon did that for a state. That's why security in Bayelsa especially in Yenuga, was a little reduced, because he invested in satellite imaging. All this security, he put it to the point that they have a security room that you'll be watching everywhere in Bayelsa. You'll be watching it live on TV like this. You'll be watching. So what stop a governor from in the southeast from investing that? But one thing about this issue of outside is that it still boils down to the belief in some people in southeast, whether they believe in one Nigeria or they don't believe. Because that's why most of them comply with the issue. Although
they're afraid.
they're
You see
afraid
that
to die.
they are
And
being
it is
forced to.
to being by force. And it is not that they don't know some of the people who are doing this thing, but for them to speak out or to even go against them is the issue. But I understand what the Soludo is doing in Anambra State now. He has instituted a vigilante group that is homegrown alongside federal security agencies that will be working in Anambra. But beyond that, you should also think of technology because it will help. There's nothing wrong to buy more than 10 drones that will just be flying around your state, either in the morning or in the night, to dictate some of these things. That is the way to go because if you say you still want to rely on the archaic way of securing your state, there will still be opportunity for these guys to commit the crime they are doing.
So what is the way forward? The level
think,
of insecurity in the country now. What is the way forward? Buhari came on that mantra to come and stamp out insecurity, and being a retired general, Nigerian said no, he will actually give bandits a run for their money. But at the end of the day, we didn't see that. He left Nigeria devastated more than when he met it, especially in terms of security.
But for me, again, we should not just see security, tackling security, just pouring money into everything. No,
yes, so much was invested.
Sit down and think of how you can strategically spend the money, not just thinking of this money like enriching individuals, the top hierarchy of those security agents, because they are the one who make money. Because what they think now is that in the next 2-3 years, I'm going to retire. They begin to write different proposals, and they approve all manner of proposals.
You saw the NIA owner, director, Ikoyi Gate. How much was spent in that?
In name of what they call it, spy work. But for me, is that let us spend our security vote money wisely in a way that it is not just giving people allowances, buying guns and buying motorcade for individuals. No, in other ways can we spend it that we can get better results. That's what I think. And it's not about the numbers of foot soldiers all around. Technology have taken over. Just last night, Russians sent over 300 spy drones into Ukraine, and Ukraine was able to shut down not less than 10 of them. It's all about security technology. And how do they do it? They seize those spy drones from dropping their bomb or shooting, and they destroy them. So what stop us from investing in such? And that's why we have several institutions that can also help us out in development of some of this technology from the homegrown raw material that we have. We can't just continue to wait on the foreign people to begin to help us. Just like the president said, we can't wait on foreigners to help us to solve our problem. We should be thinking of how to solve our problem in the way that it can be more suitable for our environment. Security inclusive, not just economic issues alone.
So how do you see this call for amnesty for bandits?
I think that one is a very wrong one. Whoever is
the chief of army staff said
no way. And again, those individuals are jobbers. Sheikh Gumi is a jobber. He lost out doing Buhari. You see that Buhari never give him any attention. The little attention that Buhari wanted to give him, the little attention he wanted to give me, he abused it, then Buhari dumped him. And that's why he's second. The guy that was his press chief, this guy, the publisher of Sahara Desert, that was later arrested, Mamin, went and took advantage of that and say he want to become negotiator of bandits. And see how he ended. Someone that was still living in penury became a millionaire overnight. That started sending family to pilgrimage. You can see. So Tinubu should also ignore this set of people. They are jobbers. Yerima has lost that.
And Gumi has brought himself out again. That he's ready to be the one to negotiate.
We just hope that Tinubu will ignore them and just leave them. Let them continue to be jobbers at the other side because they are of no relevance as we speak now. Jeremiah doesn't have any stake in just politics again. He has lost out. The former government, he doesn't have any stake in all the senatorial whatever. He has lost out. Gumi has also lost, even among the Islamic cleric in northern Nigeria. They don't give him relevance because of what that is chief of that media consultant to him did. That they did not discover that it was just another opportunity to make money. So Tinubu should just leave them and allow them.
And of course, the northern elder said no, they should not.
They should not. Nobody's interested in that because it's an opportunity for some people to just make
damages and
you want them to be giving bandits whatever.
Give them amnesty. Thank you so much. Well, this is where we end today's program. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
I look forward to seeing you same time next week on the show. Well, this is where we draw the curtain on today's program. I'm Winnie Fredo Bebo. I'll come your way again, hopefully tomorrow. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.